apparently somebody that leaked Chrisean Rock and Jr.'s medical records from when he was born, listing the list of issues that he had. One of the issues being alcohol fetal syndrome, another one dealing with his ophthalmology, dealing with his sight, something else dealing with pulmonary, dealing with his lungs.
It's saying that he got all type of stuff and how she was being neglectful.
On Rock. So there's been some medical documents that have been released that people were saying are the medical documents of Junior, Chrisean's son. I'm going to tell you where to go to watch this on my TV.
Here, the tea never stops brewing and the drama always finds a microphone. Greetings again. I want to get straight to the point because Chrisean Rock's relationship just recently became genuine. It's again about her child. Chrisean Jr., but not in the way that usually makes headlines. It's more serious and a little depressing, to be honest. Well, here's the thing. Screenshots have been going popular on Twitter and TikTok. These are fake medical records belonging to baby Chrisean Jr. However, we won't be putting any of those here because we want to keep things peaceful and lawful. But because those docs are making the internet go crazy, I'll see what they have to say. Health concerns are discussed, and the images have annotations. Despite the lack of proof, it is definitely the kind of thing that sparks contentious discussions. The infant may not be regularly taken to appointments based on certain facts. A single detail has caused social media to go insane. Accusations, fear, and illogical judgment are rampant. However, since Chrisean made her pregnancy public, she has been under intense scrutiny. So we shouldn't act like we're brand new. The places she visits, the people she is with, and the way she holds the baby are all scrutinized and reported on. When these alleged medical screenshots were made public, people reacted quickly, jumping first, not just jumping. But this is the most peculiar feature. The topic itself is rarely questioned while everyone else is out there making rash decisions as though they were free samples. Who released the aforementioned documents to the public first?
HIPAA laws. Apparently, there's some medical records of Chrisean and her baby floating around, and I don't know if it's true. This is all alleged, but I'm just gonna share what I learned. Maybe, allegedly. So it says that the baby suffers from fetal alcohol syndrome and neonatal abstinence syndrome. So neonatal abstinence syndrome is basically the baby is withdrawing from opioids, some sort of, but they're thinking either opioids or cocaine in this case. And allegedly, but he also allegedly suffers from spasticity, which is like a neurological disorder that makes it hard for people or babies to move their limbs. He also suffers from seizure disorder and CVI. Now, CVI is cortical visual impairment, which is just it means that a part of his brain has been damaged, the part of his brain that controls his vision. So he has blindness. Like a lot of people, I've heard people say this, but I just didn't believe it. But oh my God. It also says that he should be in palliative care. Now, I work in hospice, and a lot of people, they believe that palliative care and hospice is interchangeable, but it's not. Palliative care kind of focuses more on prolonging the life of the child or person in general. But in this case, if he should be on palliative care, he's got a very serious medical condition, and she needs to be taking care of him. How? As a mother, do you know these diagnoses, or do you know any of this information about your son and not help him in any way? Continue to live the same lifestyle that you lived before you had him. When you become a mother or father, but in this case we're talking about mothers, when you become a mother, your life changes. You need to change, to adapt, to make sure that you are putting your child above yourself, especially someone who has the serious medical issues that Junior has. Pathetic. She's pathetic. But all of these things are incredibly serious. I have literally no words. Chrisean,
There has been a breach of privacy, if the documents are real. Someone went out of their way to get this information. Therefore, there is clearly more drama going on behind the scenes. Let's face it, it seems a little arbitrary. What follows? Shocking even more. Naturally, I'm not here to assert the veracity of the aforementioned documents, but I'm not saying they're not true. I'm just sharing what people are discussing online and observing what they're seeing in these widely read articles. In light of the fact that this is now becoming a full-fledged web storm, screenshots allegedly seized from medical documents show that after delivery, baby Chrisean Jr. tested positive for alcohol, cocaine, and opiates. All three indeed. A list of other illnesses allegedly related to the infant's health problems is also included in the reports. Conditions treated include cortical visual impairment, infant abstinence syndrome, spasticity, and seizure disorders. In addition to being serious issues, especially for infants, they also have higher levels of internet anxiety and speculation.
Chrisean Rock and Jr.'s medical records from when he was born, listing the list of issues that he had. One of the issues being alcohol fetal syndrome, another one dealing with his ophthalmology, dealing with his sight, something else dealing with pulmonary, dealing with his lungs. I'm gonna tell y'all like this: there's so much fake news going on right now. I'm gonna take this with a grain of salt, even though the person who posted it tagged Blueface and Carlissa in it. Also proving that she didn't take no prenatal vitamins when she was pregnant. Listen, y'all, when you have a baby, there are so many tests that are performed during, after your labor, right? So if the doctors found something that could have been a cause due to the neglect of the mother, she would have had some type of consequence. Chrisean suffered no consequence, which is why I take this so-called news with a grain of salt. But we all know something going on. So I don't know if the hospital that she had the baby at, it is a well-known hospital for celebrities, and they do tend to cover shit up. But I'm pretty sure nobody not about to risk losing their license, misdiagnosing a child who's clearly having all of these difficulties and developmental delays. They're not gonna write something like, "Oh, the baby is healthy," when the baby not healthy. Like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe they had advised her to get the baby certain kind of help, and they probably worded it on the paperwork as if it was natural causes and not due to the neglect of the mama. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? All I know is there's a story going around showing fake or true diagnosis and records from the baby. I don't know. But I'm gonna look more into it, y'all. I'll come back.
For those who are unaware, cortical visual impairment, or CVI, modifies the way the brain processes visual data. Blindness is not the same as it. Visual information is difficult for the brain to process, even when the eyes are healthy. This disease is dangerous. Once more, the accusations provide the foundation for everything that is stated here. However, other people are shocked and alarmed by the content in such posts. Furthermore, the infant is apparently already receiving care from a whole team of medical experts. They include orthopedic doctors, neurologists, cardiologists, and likely a wide range of other specialties. If this turns out to be true, the baby is probably dealing with an extremely challenging medical condition right from the start. Just think of the terrible impression it gives. However, this is where people start to get really annoyed. One part of the alleged screenshot claims that the mother, who is allegedly Chrisean, admits to frequently using cocaine and alcohol during her pregnancy. Even while it is crucial to emphasize that these claims are unfounded, the statement is enough to spark a significant amount of internet outrage.
What we're saying are the medical documents of Junior, Chrisean's son. I'm going to tell you where to go to watch this on YT in a minute. So I don't know if these are actually Junior's medical records, but I will say that the medical records appear to have been written by a medical professional, just the terminology that was used and stuff. Okay? I do believe there's somebody's medical records. All right? Now, the one thing that makes me a little leery about it is it says that the mother admitted to substance. It listed some substances that she admitted to.
There is a whole new debate if even half of this is accurate. These days, people talk about things like accountability, parental rights, and even the possibility of legal consequences. However, it should be noted that none of these documents have been officially validated. We still don't know the truth about them. However, the highly personal nature of this material is alarming, and the fact that it is circulating online shows how messed up things have become. This brings us to the primary factor behind the popularity of the internet. The original poster of the screenshots was an account named King K's. That profile had completely disappeared when I tried to check it myself, vanished into thin air. Nobody knows for sure if it was taken away or disabled. But when? It is impossible to overlook the degree of suspicion. Many individuals are now thinking that the uploaded content may have been the reason for the account's reporting. Social media was, to be honest, on fire in a matter of seconds. There was no hesitation whatsoever on the part of this person. They claimed that Blueface, Chrisean, and her group had misled them about the condition of infant Chrisean Jr. They argue the public was misled regarding the health and welfare of the infant. The evidence that backs up these charges, however, is very different. They reveal a much worse state of affairs than the public was informed. The emotions expressed in these comments and the juxtaposition with the happy picture are what really get people talking. Not simply rumors, but what might be kept secret is the focus. These stays in
records been leaked. I don't know how true it is, but it's saying that he got all type of stuff and how she was being neglectful. But my thing is, if the doctors test the babies after they were born and they see that something, like if she was doing substances or something, she would have had to suffer the consequences. So I'm not sure if everything is true or not, but whoever did leak that is about to face some serious charges because...
According to the article, there is no argument for what is evident and the child's condition speaks for itself. Even online users who persisted in defending Chrisean were ridiculed in the initial post. For example, that child is the truth. Please don't ignore it any longer. It was a simple remark. It was chilly outside, and everyone was stunned to know. And, to be clear, none of this has been officially confirmed. The legitimacy of the screenshots and the method of acquisition are unknown to us. Nonetheless, the pace at which this news is going viral online is genuine. On Reddit, threads are becoming very popular. In addition to their previous activities, TikTokers are stitching videos and analyzing live broadcasts. Twitter is in utter disarray due to trending hashtags, and some people are even tagging CPS, regardless of how true this narrative is. The damage has already been done in the court of public opinion. There is grave defamation if these claims are untrue. But if even a fraction of it is true, the consequences can be dire. Those who unquestioningly backed Chrisean are starting to question everything they took for granted. At this point, the internet breaks entirely. We were aware of it right away. The report has some people in a frenzy. According to some, this is really a smear effort meant to harm her name, as if it were the next big Netflix documentary series. Everyone is eagerly awaiting the drama to unfold. I had to do some study on this. In fact, if the baby had been born with those medicines in his system, wouldn't they have been taken out immediately? Shouldn't Chrisean be the focus of an investigation by now? That's the rationale used by many people. However, the truth is more nuanced. My research indicates that hospitals are required by law to notify Child Protective Services or the local child welfare agency when a newborn receives a positive drug test. That is the law, especially in situations like this one where a lot of drugs are required. However, what occurs next depends on several circumstances. CPS does not always take the infant away immediately. If a parent cooperates or has a care plan in place beforehand, the baby might stay here. CPS may visit, observe, or carry out a clandestine investigation while the child is still living at home. Among the factors are the hospital, the state, and the severity of the sickness. If Chrisean had acknowledged using narcotics during his pregnancy and the nurses had observed it, there would have definitely been an investigation. It becomes increasingly challenging to demonstrate long-term danger, harm, or purpose. Therefore, it does not follow that nothing is going on behind the scenes just because nothing has happened in the public light. These systems move softly, very slowly, and with tremendous force. Have faith that the charges are being investigated further to determine their veracity. The majority of individuals do not know, nonetheless, that a report does not always lead to its removal. I was astounded too. Let me explain in straightforward language, because many individuals are making snap decisions. As was asserted in this instance, the hospital must tell CPS if a newborn tests positive for narcotics. It's required by law. However, CPS does not take the baby away all at once. After that, they look at the issue as a whole. They ask if the youngster is receiving proper nutrition, medical care, and a clean and safe environment. Do their families provide them with care or support? In essence, CPS is attempting to ascertain whether this is a persistent threat or a one-time occurrence. If there are any warning indications, the parent may decide to temporarily withdraw the child while they devise a plan. They may require house visits, parenting, education, or therapy. Furthermore, once a case file has been opened, it takes a long time for it to close. A caseworker may perform regular check-ins to guarantee progress. The baby might stay. Nevertheless, if the parent is trying, keeping clean, and following the plan, albeit with certain limitations.